All right, I think we're live. Hello and welcome everyone to Coffee and Questions. We are back. Are we live? I think we're live, maybe. Let me just pause Dropbox syncing because that's going to slow us down. All right. Okay, we're live. We've been live for 10 seconds. The video quality is crapola, but hopefully that sorts itself out. But we are back for Coffee and Questions. It's been a while, but I'm super excited to bring it back. And I guess a bit of a new format sort of this time. What I'm planning on doing is just keeping it short and sweet, max 20 minutes if we can, and trying to just have one question or one sort of like shorter topic or theme per live so that it doesn't just blow out for an hour. Nobody's got time for that. And that we're really focused. We try and dig into one sort of key thing. And I'm going to pull those from the questions that I ask when you join the Dietitian Approved Crew Facebook group. So when you jump in, the only way to get access is if you answer the question like, what's your biggest nutritional challenge? So I'm going to draw from all of those and start to sort of answer some of those questions for you as best as I can within these live sessions. So I'm going to try and jump on Thursday mornings around sort of 9:30. Got to be a little bit flexible. So yeah, around sort of 9:30 in the morning. And yeah, short, sharp, super focused session to tick off some of those problems for you. So you get an advanced sports dietitian with more than 12 or 13 years of experience at your fingertips for a short period of time on a Thursday morning. Now, I'm going to email out the replay too. So what I might do is actually create a separate sort of list of people that want that so that it's not going out to everyone, because I'm sure not everyone wants to watch the replay. So today I'll set up a different list. So if you want the replay, if you can't jump on live all the time and you want to go and watch the replay later, I will send a link out to join a specific list so that the people that want it get it, and I'm not sort of bothering all those other people. The video quality is really bad. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, how do I go back? See if I can make this go back up. All right, cool. I might invest in a different webcam. That might be one of the things that I do for this as well. But yeah, the video quality is really bad. So potentially the replay I'll send out through something different, because I think Facebook quality is crapola. And if you're here, please jump in and say hi too, so that I know who's watching. Looks like there's one person online. But yeah, pop a comment in there and let me know if you're here. All right, so, oh yeah, email out the replay. We're going to have a sort of set theme, short and sweet, and try and tick off some of those nutrition problems for you. And I guess just a bit of a disclaimer, this is not individual advice, right? So you might have a specific problem or issue that you need help with. I will give you some, hey, Ruth's online. I will give you some generalized advice, but it's definitely not individualized or specific. So if you've got a problem that you really need help with, I'd suggest investing in a dietitian. Just tackle it head on, get something that's specific for you so that you're not sort of faffing around. I feel like if you have a problem that you need solving, then you're better off just like getting it done and doing it in a more focused way than trying to Google crap online, asking me random questions on here. Like you might get your answer from me here and that's totally cool. But I would hazard a guess that you probably won't get it sorted. So just do it. And if you've got private health insurance, you can always get a rebate if you have dietitian cover. Or I've got 2 online courses on the website. One's a general nutrition foundation course. That's a great place to start. And then if you're a triathlete, there's a specific triathlon nutrition course on there as well. So both of those are a really good place to start in a more cost-effective way to get a lot of that sort of sorted. All right, so the definite theme of all the nutritional problems people have when they join this group is definitely endurance sports nutrition, because I guess that's my focus. And I'm an endurance sports dietitians as specialists, particularly with triathlon. But a number of you are having issues with fueling. A lot of people are doing particular events and just have no idea how to fuel for the event. And I guess if you need a specific race plan, then yeah, everyone's very different. It's not really possible to sort of generalize race nutrition. I'd rather, like, you're better off getting a specific plan done for that. But I guess just a few sort of things on fueling that I can help you with generally might help. So I guess when we're talking about fueling, it depends on what you're doing before a session and whether you fuel a session or not. And then also what you do during a session would be a key factor in fueling. But also as part of fueling, you've got exactly and specifically what you do before and around and during a session or training. But then you also have to think about how you fuel your whole week. So for triathlon in particular, there's no sort of set training days that are exactly the same. You don't do the same session every day, Monday to Friday. So what you do on certain days should sort of fluctuate and vary based on your fueling needs of that day or that week as well. And then outside of that, thinking a bit more globally in the fueling space, you need to think about how you're fueling your training and your days and your weeks across a season and then out of season as well. So what you do heading into a key race, your fueling strategy might be totally different for that compared to if you're in the off season or you haven't got a race coming up. So you want to have a different sort of strategy depending on who you are and what your goals are and what you're actually doing and trying to achieve. There's a couple more people online now, so jump on the comments section and let me know if you're here. And if you can see me, my video quality is really crapola. So hopefully you can see me. It just means that even though I probably don't look that great, the blurriness blocks it all. Yeah, so I guess having an understanding of who you are and what you're trying to achieve, and also what sort of athlete you are depends on how aggressively you fuel as well. So we know that at different intensities, we burn different types of fuel. And that might be something that we cover in another Coffee and Questions, is we'll go through in detail exactly what types of fuel you use in different intensities. If anyone's interested in that, let me know and we'll do it. I'll write myself a little note. Ruth said I'm in soft focus, but yeah, there. Okay, that's good, Ruth. That's what it looks like on my screen too. So I'm not sure what's going on, unless like our internet in our area is not very good today, but not sure. It's okay. It's okay. I don't care if it's not perfect. Progress over perfection, right? All right, so we might go through that another time if anyone's interested, but let's quickly talk about whether you fuel before a session or not. And I will kind of stick with endurance sports nutrition philosophies in here in this group because that's my specialty. So if you're a gym bunny or doing a physique competition or you're a boxer, then this is probably not the right place for you. They're not my superpowers. So we'll focus on endurance sports nutrition here. But so as a general guide for fueling sessions, you want to have, again, some strategy depending on what type of session it is. So whether you do a session fasted, and that means having no carbohydrate in your mouth whatsoever. And I even tell people not to brush their teeth because there are carbohydrate derivatives in toothpaste. So if you want to be legit fasted, then it really means nothing but water. Or if you want to have a black tea or coffee, you can do that as well. And that actually helps to stimulate fat burning by doing that. By having a bit of caffeine, it helps your body to release fat from your cells, and then they're available in your bloodstream ready to use for exercise. So some types of sessions you want to do fasted training, and that would be a good strategy to help your fat burning pathways work better. Now, you might do that for a shorter, slower aerobic type session. So when I say aerobic, I mean the intensity is much lower. It's an intensity where you can kind of have a conversation. So if you're running with a friend, for instance, and you can have a chat as you're going, that's aerobic intensity. So to 60% VO2 max or less. If I asked you a question, you could respond in a sentence or potentially two, right? So it's not like super sharp, hard, intense where you've got a one-word response if I ask you a question. Aerobic is, much more sort of steady and relaxed. And at that intensity, we burn about 50% carbs and 50% fat. So it's a good session to do some fat burning and teach the body to use fat as a fuel source if it's shorter and slower and aerobic. So you might do that sort of faster training sometimes, not all the time. And again, depends on where you are in the season. So I wouldn't necessarily do that style of training if you're in like peak race season. That might be a good off-season strategy to help your fat burning pathways get more efficient and effective. And then you want to throw some fuel at a session. So before it, if it's much higher intensity. So as our intensity goes up, we burn more carbohydrate during the session. And that's drawn on mostly from your muscle glycogen levels as the intensity goes up. And that's your carbohydrate that we store in the muscle, like it's right there where it needs to be ready to use as a fuel. And so sessions that you're throwing fuel at are sessions that burn more carbohydrate during them. And sessions that are longer as well would be the other thing. So even though you might be doing aerobic training, you can't necessarily go fasted if you're doing like a 3 or 4 hour ride, right? You're just going to hit the wall and have absolutely no energy to get through the last bit. Like you might be able to do that for the first hour or maybe 2 if you're a particularly well-oiled machine. But anything that's longer than sort of 90 minutes, 2 hours, probably even like sort of 60 to 90 minutes really, that's the type of limit for fasted training, I would think, before you start to need to have some carbohydrate on board. Now, when we talk about fueling before a session, it's totally individual. So I can give you some ideas here, but it's something that you'll need to sort of go away and practice and see what feels right and sits right with you. So it could be a morning session, it could be an afternoon session, and it could be just a snack, like a pre-training, like fuel up type snack, or it could be a total meal. So it really just depends on, where in the time of day your session is. So a couple of ideas for morning training fuel might be some easy to digest carbohydrates, something that's not going to sit too heavy in the stomach. And also, if you're getting up super early and it's dark when you're going out training, you're probably not going to want to sit down and have a full-blown like breakfast or meal. So it could be something like just super quick, super easy to grab as you run out the door. So something like a glass of milk or a banana or a muesli bar or some toast with some spread on it. And this is like, if you like honey and jam, this is the time to be eating both of those things. Because both of those are pretty much straight carbs and really easy to digest and absorb. So toast with one of those on the top of it, or Nutella. It's about the only time I will give someone Nutella is pre-training. Brandon Copeland is famous for loving his Nutella on toast pre-training. He's one of the elite triathletes. And, we'd go to Europe or go wherever and he'd have the biggest tub of Nutella known to man in his bag that he'd bring from Australia because he just needed it. And the other thing that I like pre-training is fruit toast. So if you tolerate fruit toast, it doesn't upset your tummy. That's a really good one to have before a session because it's quick and easy to make. It's super, Jody. Hello, Jody. So Jody goes and buys it. She said she's going to buy a kilo of Nutella. It's straight carbs. You're about to burn it off. It's easy to digest, and it's not really like a healthy snack otherwise, but a good option for spreading on toast pre-training if that's your jam. Pun intended. Fruit toast is another great option because it's higher in carbs than a normal piece of toast. So particularly if you struggle with volume before exercise, even the thick slice stuff is equal to 2 to 3 slices of normal toast. So really easy way to get carbs in without having to have a whole big meal. So there's some ideas for what you would eat pre-training, and depending on who you are would depend on how much you have, and where you are in your season and what your overall goals are. So there's no kind of one size fits all approach there. what was the other thing I was going to say? Like if you are going to eat, then you're better off doing a good job of eating pre-training and getting the right amount for you as well, rather than just having like half a banana and being like, oh, yep, I've fueled now. You haven't really. You've kind of turned on the switch to burn carbs as a fuel. You've ticked that box, but you haven't actually done the full job of having some carbohydrate pre-training. So if you're going to eat carbohydrate before to fuel up, then you need to make sure you're having enough. And that's something that is, very individual, and you need to get some help to figure out what that is. So we're already at 15 minutes. See, this is going to fly by. Short, sharp, sweet. So that's a little bit of information about what you do in terms of fueling before a session. So I guess two different strategies. One would be fasted, one would be fueled, and what fasted training looks like and the types of sessions you would do that for. And then fueling, I guess, some ideas around what you would have for those types of sessions, but your amount and timing is really individual. So it's working through some of those ideas and seeing what sort of feels right for you, and what you need based on your overall training program too. So like I'm thinking like an Ironman athlete as an example, I would give them much more fuel pre-training, because their overall training volume is so much bigger. They kind of, every opportunity for them to eat is a good opportunity to eat. So it's thinking about that big picture too. Whereas like a sprint athlete or somebody that is kind of dabbling in a bit of cycling or running and then a bit of gym, like that type of weekend warrior, then I would give them a different sort of pre-training strategy there too. So I guess, depending on who you are and what you're doing, and like a bit more globally, I always kind of look at the whole big global picture. What you would do would depend on a number of factors. So I hope that helps with some general fueling advice, which is a number of you have said that that's like one of the key things that you're having trouble with. So if that's you, reach out and I can help you with that. That's not a problem. But also if you have any other questions around that, like if I haven't answered anything specifically, like you can always type them into the comments box in here, or you can jump on next week and we'll try and tick off some of those things as well. So like I said in the beginning, I'm going to have a theme. I'm going to answer sort of one question per Coffee and Questions. So feel free to jump on and have a chat to me while you're on here. If you're listening, there's like 4 people online now, and nobody's talking to me but Ruth and Jody. But yeah, one sort of theme, one sort of question. I'll try and tick off those nutritional problems for you each week on Coffee and Questions. And I'm only going live in this group. I want it to be for just you guys. I don't want all the dietitians listening and watching. They're not allowed in this group. I'm kicking them out. And yeah, so any questions right now? We're at 18 minutes, so I'm going to log off in a second. Keep it short and sharp and sweet. But today we've covered a bit on fueling, like what you do before a session, and I'll work through sort of what the themes are for the coming week. So if there's anything in particular you want to know about, send me a message on Facebook or Instagram, or send an email through, and I will endeavour to let you know what the topic is ahead of time as well, so that you can kind of jump on live if you want to know specifically about that thing. Otherwise, I'll send out the replay too in an email, and I will get like a specific list set up for that, so not everyone's getting it. Jody said, no questions, but thanks for the reminder. You're welcome, Jody. Pre-training, definitely important for you, even if you're returning from not doing too much. So I guess particularly if you're an untrained athlete or have done a period of no training, it's really important that when you do start exercising that you are more aggressive with that, because it's a bit of a stress or a shock to the body, right, when you go from doing nothing to exercising. So your carbohydrate needs actually higher than somebody who has been training consistently for a while. So only because I know you, Jody, and what you're up to, particularly important when you return to training, that you're probably more aggressive than you were before when you were super fit, even just while the body's getting a bit of a shock and just going, hang on a minute, what are you doing to me? Why are you exercising again now? But yeah, something I guess to always stay on top of. All right, guys, that is almost 20 minutes. Thank you for joining me for the first Coffee and Questions back for a little while. It feels good to be back, and I'll jump on next week. Make sure you, Taylor said, our conversation is going to be a doozy next week. You're welcome. Nothing to all the things after during injury. Yep, totally. And it'll come back with a vengeance, Jody, but it'll have a bit of a lag. So you'll have a week or two lag where you're still not hungry, and then it'll come back with a vengeance. So make sure you're eating even if your appetite is poor right from the beginning. All right, thanks for joining me, Ruth, Taylor, Jody, and whoever else is sneakily online there and hasn't commented. I can't actually see who's online unless you comment. So it's all good. It's all good. And yeah, I'll see you next week, guys. Give me a holler if you need anything. But happy drinking coffee. Cheers.